Hello friend, today we are talking about the estrogen cliff that comes around when we hit menopause. And maybe you are premenopausal, maybe you're in those perimenopause years where you know what's coming, you're anticipating what's going to happen and you want to slow it down or prevent it as much as you can. Or maybe you're postmenopausal or you're in the transition and you feel like you've already fallen off that cliff and you want to inch your way back up as much as you can. So either way, today I'm going to help you with that by telling you how we can boost estrogen activity in your body and how we can mimic its activity by actions that you can take at home so that you can mitigate those effects of that declining estrogen on your skin. So if we have not met, I'm Dr. Ray. I'm a board certified dermatologist. I have 15 years of experience treating aging faces, and I work with women all over the world to help them look 10 years younger in perimenopause and menopause. And if you are someone in those decades of life, your 40s, your 50s and beyond, and you are experiencing or have experienced those age-related changes in your skin and you want expert insights, real derm expertise in terms of how to manage those effects, how to reduce them, how to turn back the clock on your skin, then subscribe to this channel and you're going to get a lot of that. Okay, so let's talk estrogen. Why? First of all, I'm going to touch quickly on how estrogen affects your skin and when it comes to the signs of aging, and then we'll get into how we can mitigate it. Okay, so estrogen, first of all, drives production of hyaluronic acid and other glycosaminoglycans or GAGs in your dermis, that second layer of skin. These are sugar compounds that help your skin stay hydrated, to hold on to moisture. They give your skin hydration and plumpness, okay? Second, very importantly, they drive collagen and elastin production. So collagen, again, I've said it a million times, I'm gonna say it again, is the scaffold of the skin. It is the holy grail of aging well when it comes to skin. And we are trying to hold on to it for dear life. And collagen and elastin together give your skin its smoothness, its firmness, its bounce back quality. And so we want that as we're aging if we want to look amazing for our age. And then another major biologic activity of estrogen when it comes to aging is that it helps support bone and fat structure in your face, in the deeper tissues of the face. And when we lose that estrogen support, that fat and that bone in our face recedes and atrophies more quickly, and that leads to a loss of support for the overlying tissues. And what does that mean? It means more sagging and deeper folds. Okay, so let's get into how we can reduce those effects that are happening as estrogen is declining or is already at zero. The first thing is phytoestrogens. Phytoestrogens are a compound that are found in plants that mimic estrogen activity in the body by binding to the estrogen receptor. They are what we call selective estrogen receptor modulators, or SERMs. And if we're looking beyond the skin, which I always like to do as well, we know that there is some data that phytoestrogens reduce the symptoms of menopause, some of the particular symptoms like hot flashes and night sweats. They also have a cardioprotective effect where they enhance cardiovascular health by reducing blood pressure and cholesterol. And then there's also some data that they can help prevent osteoporosis or slow it down. So that's all amazing. But what about skin? So we know that phytoestrogens bind particularly well to the estrogen receptor beta, or ER beta. It just so happens that that is the predominant type of estrogen receptor in your skin. And it also just so happens that the skin of your face has the most estrogen receptors concentration-wise than the rest of your skin of your body. So basically, when we are enhancing that estrogen effect with these phytoestrogens, your skin on your face is going to feel it. It's going to help bridge that gap or make up for that loss of estrogen that you're seeing as you're entering your 40s and 50s. And that means that they can help to enhance, again, those natural processes that are typically driven by estrogen in your body, including the production of hyaluronic acid, of collagen and elastin, and the preservation of bone and fat in your face. And again, this is what I mean when I say rewire your skin's biology. I've said that on this channel before. This is a perfect example of that, of where we have this natural tendency, right? As we enter perimenopause and menopause, our estrogen declines and the activities of that estrogen also declines. But we can take measures. We have the power to affect how our skin behaves on a microscopic, on a cellular level. What happens on a microscopic level? We have the power to affect that with things that we do on a day-to-day basis, like eating phytoestrogens. And so what kinds of food contains phytoestrogens? Let's talk about that. One of the main ones is soy-based foods, so like tofu, edamame or soybeans, tempeh, miso. Those have high concentrations of phytoestrogens. The second one is certain seeds, especially flax seeds, but also sunflower seeds and sesame seeds. cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, kale, cabbage especially, and then some legumes like lentils and chickpeas. So aim for at least one serving, if not more, of those foods on a daily basis. Again, it's going to help support on a deeper level your estrogen activity in your body. That is going to help support your skin. Okay, so that is one way that we can mimic the estrogen activity in your skin. Now let's talk about other ways in which we can drive those cellular processes that your estrogen typically drives without involving estrogen or the estrogen receptor. Okay, what are other things that we can do to, for example, enhance your hyaluronic acid production or preservation? So the first one is actually sun protection. Maybe you didn't think about that for hyaluronic acid. Maybe we think about it breaking down collagen and causing spots and wrinkles and that kind of thing. But actually UV radiation does decrease the activity of enzymes that make hyaluronic acid, and it increases the activity of hyaluronidase, which is the enzyme that breaks down hyaluronic acid. So just by protecting yourself from UV radiation, AKA the sun, you can actually enhance hyaluronic acid production and retention in your skin, which is going to help your skin hold on to moisture. And one of the most common complaints that I've seen from my patients and my clients in my digital programs, and maybe this is you too, is that as we're entering our 40s and 50s and beyond, for sure, our skin gets more dry. And why do you think that is? One of the reasons is reduction of that hyaluronic acid in your skin, in addition to other factors like lower sebum production that helps protect your skin barrier and increase transepidermal water loss, which is transepidermal through the epidermis through the skin water loss. So when we're able to hold on to the hyaluronic acid more efficiently, more effectively, produce it more, then we actually can help again mitigate those signs and those symptoms that we get from that reduction of estrogen. And on a related note, fibroblasts are these cells in your skin that make hyaluronic acid. So how can we support fibroblast activity? How can we stimulate fibroblasts to make hyaluronic acid? And by the way, collagen and elastin too. It makes all the important things that we like in our skin for remaining youthful and vibrant. So it turns out that there's research that shows that curcumin, which is a compound that's found in turmeric, which is the spice, and it gives turmeric its yellow color. Curcumin has been shown to enhance fibroblast activity and collagen deposition as well in wound tissue. Now, it has not really been studied or shown to do that in terms of like normal tissue or anti-aging, but it is promising, and curcumin is actually a potent antioxidant as well. And so of course we want that antioxidant activity in our skin to help protect our skin from UV damage and pollution damage, and protection from the reactive oxygen species that are being produced by modern life that are destroying our DNA and our collagen and our elastin. So yes, we do want the antioxidant activity. If anything, we are getting benefits from that. So you can take curcumin supplements, or you can eat turmeric on a regular basis. I am Persian and my mom is an amazing Persian cook. And growing up, she would put turmeric in everything, and she taught me to put turmeric in everything. So thanks, Mom, because she didn't know, but she was actually contributing to my youthful glow in my 40s. So yeah, curcumin has been shown to enhance that fibroblast activity in healing tissue. And then also red light therapy can stimulate fibroblasts as well. That, again, there's some data behind this. And we think one of the ways that it does that is by stimulating production of ATP, which is the cellular energy that all your cells require to function and to proliferate. And so that goes for fibroblasts as well. So that increased ATP production can help fibroblasts function and also stimulate their reproduction or their proliferation. So that's one. And then there are certain minerals that, again, support fibroblast activity: magnesium, zinc, and then certain amino acids, glutamine, glutamate, lysine, and arginine. Those also help support the fibroblast activity, and you can find those in a wide variety of protein sources, especially like meats and dairy and legumes. And then, like I said, estrogen also helps support collagen production, right? So how can we take measures to support our collagen production in different ways if we don't have that estrogen support anymore? There are a large number of things you can do here to help preserve your collagen that you have and produce more collagen at home. And actually have a great video on this. I would encourage you to watch that next, and I will put the link for that in the description for this video below. And I walk you through several steps that you can take to boost your collagen and keep what you have. So I'm not gonna get into all those details here, but look for that video. And then lastly, like I said, estrogen helps support your deeper tissues especially your bone and your fat. And so how can we help preserve that so that we can keep the facial structure, that we have that youthful facial structure for as long as possible? It doesn't mean that it's not going to over time atrophy at all, and we're not going to get those jowls and we're not going to get those folds if we're doing these things. Yes, it's inevitable unless we take other measures as well, but these are things that you can do to help slow it down over time, and they're not anything that requires injections or lasers or thousands of dollars. So why would we not want to at least support our deeper tissues if we can by taking these tiny measures and again rewiring our skin's biology at home? So one of the major ways that we can help support our bone structure is ensuring that we are taking in adequate amounts of vitamin D and calcium on a daily basis. And vitamin D is one that is a little bit tougher to get through food sources. You definitely can if you are someone who tends to eat a lot of fatty fish and egg yolks. If you spend a lot of time out in the sun, of course, you can get a lot of vitamin D as well that way. I, of course, being a dermatologist, encourage you not to do that. We've already talked about extensively on this channel the effects of sun and UV radiation on your skin and in terms of aging. So we're kind of fighting against ourselves if we're trying to get our vitamin D from the sun. So I encourage you not to seek vitamin D from the sun necessarily, but either from food sources or from supplementation. If you're going to supplement, I highly recommend that you have your levels checked with your physician so that you can see, are you actually deficient, or is your daily intake enough? Are you getting enough without supplementing? And if you do need to supplement, they can guide you better on how much you should actually take on a daily basis. Vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin. That means that you can't overdose on it. So you don't want to overdose on vitamin D because your body, your kidney doesn't just naturally get rid of it easily. It kind of stores up in your tissues if you overdo it. So yeah, you want to know how much you actually need to supplement with. Your physician can help you with that. You should be taking vitamin D with vitamin K, particularly K2. So a general rule for how much K2 to take with your vitamin D3 is about 100 micrograms of K2, particularly in the form of metaquinone 7 or MK7. That is a form that's found to be most effective at getting that calcium into your bones, with 10,000 units of D3. So 100 micrograms of K2 to every 10,000 international units of D3 is kind of a general rule. In order to make sure that the calcium that your vitamin D is helping you absorb into your body is deposited into your bones rather into your arteries and other tissues that you don't want it being stored in. So vitamin D3 with K2, but of course always consult with your doctor when you're supplementing, even with K2, because vitamin K can interfere with some medications, including warfarin or Coumadin, that's in your blood. And then also with sufficient amounts of calcium, of course, on a daily basis. And again, calcium is something that very easily attainable in dairy, of course, dairy sources, and then there's a lot of foods that are fortified with calcium as well, even non-dairy milks that they put calcium in. So it's not as hard to get calcium, sufficient calcium on a daily basis. You can get it from dark leafy vegetables. But again, if you're feeling like you need to supplement, then supplement with calcium as well. So that is how we help support those bones in your face so that they're not atrophying as quickly over time as they're losing that estrogen support. And another way that you can help support your bone health and reduce the rate of reabsorption of those bones in your face is by keeping your cortisol levels low. And so how we do that for most people, unless you have some endocrine disorder, is we manage our daily stress, because stress does increase your cortisol levels. And I actually just talked about this last week. I encourage you to watch that video as well on what we call inflammaging, and I go extensively into cortisol and what increases our cortisol and ways to reduce that over time as well. Again, things that you can just do at home on a daily basis, daily micro actions that rewire your biology. So cortisol reduction is another big one in terms of preserving our deeper tissues of the face. Okay, what are your thoughts? Have you already fallen off that estrogen cliff already, or do you feel like it's coming? And I would love to know, like, what 1 to 3 things from this video you were gonna take away. What do you think you can start incorporating today to help climb back up that cliff, or to help prevent that cliff? Maybe you'll be a cliff jumper. So tell me about that in the comments. And if you're not subscribed already, please do like this video so that other people will see it, and we'll chat next week.